Not yet even a full day from his encounter with Luke Skywalker and Han Solo during the events of Episode 6, Boba Fett would regain consciousness, horrified to find that he was within the Sarlacc, slowly being digested. Despite the short amount of time, his situation was terrible. There were hundreds of tendrils protruding everywhere within the chamber where Boba was being kept, which were holding his hands and legs in place against the chamber's wall. Even worse, his Mandalorian armor did nothing to prevent the acid within the chamber from burning his skin. As Boba regained consciousness, he began communicating with a voice that joined him within the Sarlacc, but it became clear it wasn't a physical individual, as everyone else who'd fallen into the Sarlacc during the brief battle on Tatooine had been silent for some time. As we would learn from the novel Tales from Jabba's Palace from the perspective of a Jedi who'd fallen into the same Sarlacc pit on Tatooine thousands of years earlier, although the Sarlacc wasn't aware of its own existence, over the course of millennia, it could attain a group consciousness of the individuals they digested. It was through this process where Boba was able to communicate with an individual who'd been digested slowly by the Sarlacc millennia before Boba's circumstances, with his consciousness becoming contained in some way by the Sarlacc. Boba was forced to listen to the stories of those who'd been digested by the Sarlacc over the centuries. With it becoming more and more clear the Sarlacc planned to digest Boba slowly for hundreds of years, the bounty hunter became increasingly frustrated and enraged, with Boba recognizing his emotions rivaled those of Darth Vader himself. Although Boba's armor contained a wide range of weapons, most of them required the use of his hands, which wasn't possible while he was trapped in place by the numerous tendrils of the Sarlacc. Fortunately, Boba was able to avoid damage to his limbs due to his Mandalorian armor, which could withstand even the strength of the tendrils. While Boba didn't have access to his weapons, he recognized that the sensors and computer systems built into his armor continued to work, able to respond to his verbal commands. This allowed Boba to rewatch the entire sequence that resulted in him being trapped within the Sarlacc. At first, Boba was almost furious to learn his situation was the result of an accident, with Han Solo's spear unintentionally activating his jetpack by crashing into its emergency access panel. But this rage would soon be the catalyst for Boba to understand that if he could only get to the same emergency access panel behind him, it could be his way out to the surface of Tatooine. However, given how tightly secured he was to the wall of the chamber, Boba knew it wouldn't be easy. Ultimately, Boba was forced to hear the story of a Jedi who was almost able to escape the Sarlacc millennia earlier, who was trapped together with the individual who was now communicating with Boba. While the Jedi was able to use her lightsaber to free herself from the tendrils, her incredible force leap was stopped short of the surface when a tendril caught her ankle and pulled her back down, breaking her leg and 2 ribs, and resulting in the loss of her lightsaber. As the individual expressed that he regretted the death of the Jedi, and with Boba recognizing the Sarlacc responded to their emotions in some way, Boba tapped into his anger and rage and began berating the consciousness speaking to him, insulting him for not having the courage or imagination to understand how to escape. As the tendrils within the Sarlacc were driven into a fury through Boba's onslaught, slashing wildly around him, Boba knew it was his opportunity. Pushing hard, he was able to get his foot on the ground, and by pushing upward, Boba was able to activate the emergency access panel, initiating his jetpack. Although Boba was still trapped by the tendrils, the jetpack continued to run, and eventually it exploded, as it wasn't made for use in such confined quarters. As Boba would regain consciousness only seconds later, he realized he was free, saved only by his Mandalorian armor, which had been cracked and damaged by the explosion. But Boba would also find himself and the chamber of the Sarlacc in which he was being held consumed by fire. Boba didn't hesitate to reach for his concussion grenade launcher, firing a concussion grenade into the ceiling above him. The resulting explosion again threw the bounty hunter hard to the ground, breaking his arm and surrounding him in both the flames from the jetpack's fuel and the Sarlacc's digestive acid. The pain was far too great, and Boba would again lose consciousness. However, this time when he regained consciousness, he realized sand had fallen down upon him, giving him the direction he needed to go. Boba again grabbed the grenade launcher and fired a concussion grenade above him, causing another avalanche of sand to surround him. Knowing his armor was useless due to the damage it sustained, Boba removed it, leaving only his helmet to protect him. And after climbing on top of the sand that fell after the previous 2 explosions, he fired his 3rd and final grenade upward. This unleashed a wave of sand upon Boba that allowed him to frantically climb through it at the same time in which it was falling. Using every ounce of strength he had left and ignoring his badly broken arm, his hand finally broke the surface, surrounded by the air at the edge of the Sarlacc pit. Finally, Boba escaped from the Sarlacc. So there we have it, how Boba Fett survived after falling into the Sarlacc pit during episode 6. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for hopefully getting to see the canon version now.